Hello, and welcome to another Community Health Watch. My name is Curly Nelson, your host, and with me we have the beautiful Cindy Hernandez, and with her we have Wanda Kumar, her angel. Wanda,
Yes.
thank you so very much for joining us. And
Thank you.
Cindy, thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much for joining us. Cindy, tell me about, you have been diagnosed, I believe, in 2007 with lupus. Tell me who you are, a little bit about yourself, and what has that diagnosis done to you?
Well, my name is Cindy. Again, I was diagnosed in 2007. Um, I just graduated from St. Francis College. I'm in massage therapy school right now. I was diagnosed when I was in high school with lupus, and my junior year of high school, I received a kidney transplant from my mom because the lupus ate at my organs. And I mean, the diagnosis, it broke me at first, but it completely rebuilded me. It hasn't held me back in any way.
How did you meet Wanda?
Wanza, she is my angel from Presbyterian Hospital. My nephrologist, Dr. Pearlstein, she works for him, so I met her through him.
Okay, okay. Wanda,
Mhm.
we had talked a little bit to Cindy about her lupus, and we're talking a little bit more now about things that could have been done to prevent this, or the devastation that she went through, that she endured. I mean, she's beautiful. Look who she is today.
I know.
Gorgeous, very
Right.
intelligent. What could have been done? What could they have done when, way back when, in 2004,
Well,
for this beautiful woman?
definitely when she had the protein in the urine, which apparently seems like since she was very young, the doctors should have at least, the minimum, at least should have done a first morning urine. And if that showed something serious where it had protein in the urine, they really should have just transferred her care to a nephrologist to make sure, or to find out why she's having the protein in the urine. Because protein in the urine is very devastating.
Mhm.
It destroys the kidneys eventually.
Mhm.
And so if she had been put on medications earlier, it might have prevented her from even, I'm not saying that, it could have prolonged her not to have a transplant, maybe much longer, later on in life. But we don't know, but at least they could have gotten her the care that she needed right away,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
on the medications that she needed to be put on
Mhm. Mhm.
to at least prolong the devastation of the disease.
Many patients, or many people that I know of who are diagnosed with lupus, at some point they're placed on dialysis. Did you have to go through that?
I didn't, thankfully. I was about 3 days away from going on dialysis when we got the call that my mom was a match.
Oh, you're lucky.
So I was just about to be on it. I had went for they have you go and visit to see what it's gonna be like, and they take
Like
you
a
through
pre-screening kind of thing?
like almost
Mhm.
like a training program.
Ah.
And then
Mhm.
you talk with the patients. But I was my anemia was so bad and my fatigue and everything, and I was losing so much weight that I did have to give myself injections.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
The Epogen injections.
There you go.
What is that? What is
Epogen is
Epogen is the
Epogen.
name? Okay. And who gave you that? I mean, you did it, or your doctor?
No, they are trained to actually give injections
And how
themselves, or the
often?
parent that gives.
And how often do you give yourself? Are you still giving
No,
yourself this?
I'm not.
That was before the dialysis. Then you had to do it, or?
Yes, before the dialysis, before I received the transplant.
But
I-
she didn't have dialysis.
But you didn't have the dialysis. Okay. You had said somewhere along the line that you were taking how many medications? How many different types of medications?
In the beginning, it was over, I think, 43 a day. And then as it came closer to the transplant, it was about 20 a day.
Mhm.
And now I'm on 8 a day. So it's nothing. I wake up, I have my alarm scheduled. I can
That's
be.
still a lot.
It's
but
still
that's
a lot, but compared to 45, I take it. It's a blessing.
Do you think it's taking us a little bit longer as a society to diagnose our patients, to diagnose people of things that they're going through? Like other countries, they don't do this. I mean,
I think the insurance companies, they dictate to the doctors how often they should test the patients. And, you know, you're kind of like rewarded by not doing these tests. But I personally feel in the long run that it's not, they may think it's cost effective short term, but long term, in terms of the families who then have to go through dialysis and transplants and things like that, I think it's a simple test that, you know, checking the urine, checking the blood every year, routinely, once a year, that's not a big deal. Spend that little extra money, then have to then pay for, she didn't have dialysis, but she could have had dialysis, which is expensive. It's very expensive. And, you know, she may have had the dialysis that's done at home during the night, but there are other people who have to come in and have hemodialysis for whatever reason. They cannot have the dialysis at home. So they have to go in. So that's time away from their jobs. Instead of being productive, they're going 3 times a week to the dialysis unit. And that's very expensive. It's very expensive.
Cindy was lucky.
She was very lucky.
That her mom was a
match.
full match for her.
And on top of it, that she was healthy enough to give it.
What's the wait these days for an organ donor? I mean,
Well,
for a transplant.
Kidneys, I just read, you know, because I sometimes still read the little journals that they have, and somewhere it was written like about 6 years for an adult to get a kidney. It's children is a little bit faster because they're children. So there's like, I don't know how they come up with who gets the kidney. Besides that, it has to be a good match. That's the first thing, is that you are a good match to get the kidney. But then also to, there's other factors involved that where they'll put you up above the list, you know, or at the front of the list.
So Cindy, now you're smart, you're gorgeous. What do you have planned? What do you see? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years?
Well, I do want to be in the medical field, but I don't want to be like what I experienced. What you guys are saying, I don't want to be involved in any of that, which is why I'm in massage school. And acupuncture, we're learning all these different modalities. So aside from the regular medical, like the prescription and things like that, there's other ways that you can prevent things from happening yourself. And I mean, 10 years from now, I hope I'll have MD, my license, or whatever it is.
You know what? There's no hope. You will
I
have
will.
your,
You're absolutely
your
right.
MDs because you are super, 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 super smart.
Thank you.
And determined.
Yes.
And very much determined. Now, tell me, do you have a boyfriend?
I do.
I have to whisper that one because
Who knows, Mom is listening.
Mom will be listening.
I do, and he has been great with me. I mean, I still have my low sodium and protein diet, and I maintain it, and he helps me. We'll go out to dinner, or I'll cook, and we'll make sure that the chef knows, and he won't eat salt with me.
Oh,
He's been great.
That is
Completely understanding, takes care of me, cooks for me too, no salt, no nothing. And you know, he makes me happy, and it's all about how you feel.
This is all. I know you're Spanish,
Yes.
right? Tell me how much you miss the Spanish food.
Oh, I miss it. When holidays come around, I wish I can eat what I used to eat. But I'm happy I don't, because, I mean, I was overweight then, so I can imagine the level I would be at now. But we alter it. So I'll still have my Spanish food, but it won't taste the same. but in my mind, I'll just make it seem like it's the same.
That is. So, what is your favorite food?
Chicken cutlets and rice and beans.
Oh, you're still with the rice and beans.
Still with the rice and beans. Rice and beans.
That is awesome. Now, Wanda, I want to go back a little bit about how do you see the difference? You are of Polish descent.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what is the difference, or how do you see the way they treat preventative medicine there compared to how we behave with medicine or disaster preventions, preventative medicine?
I mean, I lived only there for 4.5 years, so I felt that they were more involved with preventive medicines. They also dealt a lot more with herbs. Like they didn't just deal with giving you medicine, but they would give you herbal teas, for certain conditions. And also they checked, as I said, they did check my urine, they checked my blood, and they gave me the results. I didn't have to beg them, ask the doctor's permission, can I get my results? They would say, well, you just go to the lab, and the lab would give me my results, and I could read them, and I just felt that over there, like my father had a heart attack, we're going off the topic for lupus, but my father had a heart attack in Poland, and he would go there every year to visit. And because he was a Polish citizen, he was able to take advantage of the medical field over there. So he would go there. They would actually come to the house. He would call up, and they would come to the house, and they would do an EKG in the house every year. He would go to his PCP here. He maybe did it once after his heart attack. And that was only because, I'm not even sure why he did it. And, there's a difference, I think, in prevention.
In all fairness, there are some hospitals who are exploring the idea of doctors visiting their patients because they do realize that it works.
Right.
That it works for the doctor, it works for the patient.
Well, I'm of that age where I had my doctor come to the house. My mother would call the doctor. I was sick with a fever, and the doctor would come to the house, and he would ask for $5 and leave. Then when, unfortunately, it's not really the doctor's fault, but, unfortunately in the 60s and the 70s, you started having, a lot of young people getting into drugs, and then the drugs would commit crimes because they needed the drugs, so they would call the doctors over and then rob them to get the drugs and money. And so then, of course, the doctors had to stop coming to the house because of safety reasons, not because they didn't want to. So maybe now, because it's not as bad now, the crime situation, that they are able to go back to that. But, yeah.
So, Cindy, I'm sorry, but tell me a little bit more about you and today. Tell me, for example, how do you feel today?
I feel great today.
Do you have those downs, those ups and downs?
I do.
Okay, so tell me a typical down day and an up day. Well, today's an up day.
Today's an up day.
Tell me about your
I
day.
have more up days than down days.
Awesome, that's great.
But down days, I do whatever I can to pick it up. Sometimes my mom will come over and cook for me. I'll tell her, I'm not feeling well today. Can you come by the house? If she can't, then I'll just stay home with my dog or my boyfriend or whatever. If they're not around, I'll go get my nails done, go to the hair salon. I'll do whatever I can to make myself feel better about myself so I can internally feel better. I feel like it's all about attitude. And the school I'm in now, New York College of Health Professions, they show us different aromatherapy oils you can use, different herbal teas you can drink, different points on the body for acupressure that you can help get that flow of energy through you. And it all helps. So a down day, I have to flip. There's no time to
Tell
waste.
me about a down day. What is a down day for you? Do you wake up just feeling down, or?
Yeah, sometimes I do. It's like a cloud. It's really hard to explain. It's it's not depression. It's just like a sadness. Of like, I don't know how to. I can't really explain too well.
Is that, do you take medicine for it?
No,
or?
not at all. I'll do what I told you to get over it, and it'll just be a day. I don't let it eat me. I don't let it take control. It can.
Mhm.
I wouldn't see why not. It's a negative emotion, but you have to rise up above it.
Do you call your doctor when you're having these down days?
No,
or?
I don't. I try to keep them as my friends. I want to keep everything positive. It's something I'm going through, and if I feel I couldn't get over it, if I feel it was something more than just a day, then of course I would let them know and take the necessary actions, whether it's medication or whatever. But it never has gotten to that level.
You did say at some point that you had lost your hair.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Well, because of the lupus and because I was having kidney failure, I was losing a lot of my hair. My nails were very weak. But I have a friend who does makeup and hair, and she always hooks me up. So she takes very good care of me, and my hair has grown. No more bald spots, and makes you feel better. And you want to do more. You want to push, and that's what we need to have that positive outlook on it. It doesn't define you. Lupus does not define anyone who's dealing with it. It's just a part of you. And you have to take that part and push it to the side and
But
move
you have
forward.
to understand
Of course.
that.
I understand it completely. I live it. But
But it's also important to follow the instructions because, you know, she's at an age, well, she was at that age, teenage years, where a lot of them are at that stage where they want to rebel. They think, you know, they'll live forever. I don't have this disease, but yet they don't follow through in taking their medications, you know, because that's an important component is to take the medications to control the lupus. Because if you don't do that, it's going to take over. No matter how positive attitude you have,
That's true.
it's going to take over because it's affecting the organs. It could, as I said, it could affect your kidneys, it could affect the heart, the brain. You need to follow what take the medications what the doctors are telling you to take. And that amount that they're telling you to take, you know, oh, well, today I'm not going to take, you know, if she doesn't take her immunosuppressant drugs, she could lose the kidney and then end up on dialysis. So it's very important that she, you know, like she said, she has an alarm to tell her to take the medication. She's a poster child. I think, you know, for
But do you
other
have-
teenagers.
Do you have other patients where you have to call them up and
Yes.
remind them? And
Yes.
what is that like?
It's frustrating because you want them to do well, and yet they're hurting themselves, and especially the teenage years. There's two things against them, which I'm hoping Obamacare will have an effect on them, which I think it does because now the parents' insurance up to the age of 26
Yes.
will take over. Where if you hit 19 and you didn't go to college, you had no insurance unless you were able to get Medicaid. And so they would fall on the wayside because they didn't have insurance. That was one thing against them. And then the other thing is their attitude that I don't have to take medications and not follow the doctor's instructions.
So, Wanda, in your office, do you see adults as well as
No,
teenagers?
up to the age of 21. Sometimes we, you know, a little longer, and then unfortunately they have to be transitioned to the adult nephrology.
What's your youngest patient?
Birth,
Really?
you could have them at birth. They're born with a kidney that's not normal, or they may be born with cysts, because there's the autosomal dominant and then there's autosomal recessive, which is usually seen. They're born with it. So.
But you know what's funny? I had told you the story about my sister. More than 35 years ago, she succumbed to lupus and passed. And what was funny is that she was pregnant when she had the disease, but it never manifested itself until after she had the baby. So today, my niece is, I don't know, about 35, 40, I don't know how old she is right now. But it wasn't until about 10 years ago that we started to see symptoms of the lupus disease in her. And how we saw it is whenever she's exposed to the sun, she got this rash. And it just looked as if, it was just this sunburn. And it was, well, you're not in the sun long enough to have a sunburn. Why are you like this? And even her pediatricians, her doctors, did not put it together. She did her research, and she figured out that, you know what, this has to be it. Mm-hmm. So right now she's not taking any medicines or anything like that for it, but she has to be very careful about being in direct sunlight, or even sometimes being, if there's shade, she has to be very careful. So it's very, very, this is something that we need to always let the public know. Let everyone know that, you know what, lupus is here. It is here to stay. You have to take care of yourself. You have to be diligent. You have to know. And as Wanda, you had said, is that a lot of times we go to the doctor and the doctor just do the basics and he says goodbye. But coming back to you, Wanda, when you ask for a CBC, for example, which is, what is it, a complete blood count?
No, you're right, it's complete.
Okay. When you ask for a CBC, you can't read that. I don't know how to read that.
Well, you could ask the doctor to, tell you what it means. And I know my doctors, they're very patient with the patients, and they will explain what it means. If you have questions, ask the doctor questions, Don't be afraid to ask. And if you have a doctor which I actually heard on a conversation, I was calling to get results, and I'm hearing the doctor in the background, well, I am the doctor, and I know what's wrong with you, and you're paying me to tell you, to cure you. I don't have to tell you. So with that kind of attitude, I don't think I'd go to that doctor, because he's not really thinking of me. He's just thinking of his ego.
And that's something else. That's what a lot of patients don't understand, that, you know what, you don't have to stay there.
Right.
You could move on.
Right.
You could say goodbye.
Right.
But again,
or go for that second opinion.
One of the great things, Cindy, that you've said is that all the things that you have accomplished, the awards, maintaining a 3.9. That was college or high school?
That was high school. College,
high school.
3.6.
With everything that you've gone through, and that you felt, and everything that happened to you, and here you are, such a big success story, I believe, with lupus and what it can do to other people. Where do you, I know we've talked about where you see yourself in the next 5 years. Where do you see yourself in 20 years?
In 20 years, I still want to be healing. I don't want to just have patients come to me and just neglect them or just push them to the side and say that what they have is something else. I want to heal, really heal, mind, body, soul, as much as I can. I hope very successful at that.
You will be.
I want to have my own clinic, like a one-stop shop, nutritionist, massage therapy, acupuncture, just kind of have everything there. So if I don't know, I'll have a specialist right there, and I'll go downstairs to the second floor. They'll take care of you. I don't want the running around, because that's when things don't get done. That's when you reach that point of devastation in your life. Hopefully still have my boyfriend.
You will.
You will.
And I just want to be successful and do something about what was done to me.
Oh, real quick, I forgot. Just tell me about, do you exercise? Do you work out? Do you walk? What do you do?
I do exercise. I do try to just light exercise. I go to a gym by my house, and I try to go 2 times a week. Just cardio, a little treadmill, just to take my mind off of things too. It's a good stress reliever. Aside from that, I'm always running around in school, and giving massages is really a stress load too. And just eating healthy. Nutrition is really important.
So Wanda, I see Cindy is a good story.
She is.
You know,
I even said she should go on lectures and talk to people, or even like the teenagers that I'm talking about, and say, this is my story. I did it. I followed the instructions, you know, and look where I am now, today. And you can do it too.
Of course.
I think you would be a good, positive attitude, what is that, speaker.
Thank you.
well, Wanda, Cindy, thank you so very much for joining us on
You're welcome.
Community Health Watch. And please tell us you will come again.
Of course.